Hi, welcome to my review of the Garmin Vivoactive HR smartwatch. This has just arrived. So far it looks quite interesting. I haven't opened the box yet, but the example displays look quite impressive. I'm going to review this watch and compare it with probably one of its close competitors, especially the next generation, which is the Pebble smartwatch, one of the market leaders. The new version coming out in November is going to have the heart rate monitor on, which the Vivoactive has on it already. The reason I have got the Garmin now is because it has the heart rate monitor built in, available now, and also has GPS built in, which the Pebble Watch doesn't. It seems to offer similar features, answering and monitoring of text messages. You can see from the example pictures on the back of the box, phone calls, emails, text messages, tracks how far you've got, step count and so on, calories used. So let's get on and open the box. Oh, more pictures on the side, which is quite nice. Advertising for, looks like a piece of scale, weighing scales. So here's the watch with a sticker over the top. Glass screen. So far so good. Some nice, this must be pictures of the app showing your activity levels, something like calories, tracks that you've run, probably amount of sleep or something. Let's have a look what we've got here. So we've got a manual, quite nice, flexible strap, charging cable. Nice big strap actually, and also you can feel straight away that it's very stretchy, much wider than normal. So first impressions are, it looks quite interesting. The other quite attractive feature of this watch is that I thought it was quite like the very first digital watch that came out in the market, certainly in the UK, which was the Sinclair Black Watch. Styled very similarly, very similar size, rectangular. Of course, that was an LED watch. So here we go. Press the left-hand button. Turns on. Screen so far so good. Gives a small vibrate. Starts booting up. It's touchscreen this time, so I guess we just touch on English. Pair mobile device. Yes. Searching. So what do we like about the Vivoactive HR? Well, there's lots of information that it presents. So you've got heart rate, miles that we've travelled, number of calories we used, number of steps we travelled. The heart rate monitoring in particular gives you a nice graphic here, a bit close up, which shows you resting heart rate, lows and highs in the graph over the past 4 hours. I think if we tap on it also will give you the last 7 days worth as well. Okay, so now we've got the weather forecast working, showing, I've converted it to centigrade. You can have either Fahrenheit or centigrade. So a rough sort of forecast graphic, if you tap on it, gives you the hourly forecast for the next 4 hours or so with little graphic symbols, temperatures, probability of rain. And I think if we scroll down to the bottom or something, there we go. Also shows daily temperatures and rough forecasts, so lots of rain due there. So to get these sort of features like weather and other things, you have to have the Garmin Connect app running all the time on your smartphone. So this is the number of steps and the number of floors we've climbed. These are our notification messages. Again, could be a little bit better. Some notifications from our calendar here. One from Snapchat. You'll get phone calls and text message notifications as well. Bit limited in the number of lines it's used for each message. This is just a summary of running time, minutes active, I think, number of floors, climbs, steps, Again, the next screen doesn't show too much more information, just in addition the calories used, the amount of time you've been active. So here we are, calendar. And again, not too much more information comes up when we tap on it. This is an app to remote control your Verb action camera if you have one. So you can remotely start and stop the video recording on your Verb camera, if you are a video camera, if you want to. I tried that, it does actually work. So you've got calories used, active and resting. Last time I had a swim, not particularly accurate. Unfortunately, you tell the device the length of your swimming pool, and the minimum length you can go down to is about 17 meters. Unfortunately, I've got a 10-meter pool, so the distance traveled was not accurate at all. So I'm not sure what use that is going to be in a pool that doesn't fit in with its parameters. People have said in previous reviews it's not very accurate. Last run, weekly run, just tried out on a very short one, so obviously the data is very long and slow. We can control music, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, what you can't do is control the volume like you can on the Pebble. That's music that's played on your phone, by the way. So those are some of the quite nice things. What else have we got? Lots of different watch faces. Navigation. You can, hopefully. Actually, I've never got it to do this. Maybe I'll do it in a minute. You can save your location and then say navigate to a particular location. Time to lock on GPS is a little bit slow. So we can see the progress bar at the top slowly moving over. There we are. Now it's got the location to what, I don't know, 15 seconds or something. We can save this particular point. I think what you can then say is go to that location. Interesting. You can pick whether you're walking or not. And because it's got an inbuilt compass, you can then follow the watch to go to that particular location, which is quite a nice little feature, I suppose. If you've lost your car or something, of course it's only accurate to, well, in this case about 40 feet, but not too bad nonetheless. So it's really configured to be an action watch, i.e. a watch that's for people doing lots of sport. And it's a very good device for recording all of that activity. And when you do an activity, single press on this button allows you to select what activity you're going to actually do. You can do some custom activities as well, very limited number. So for instance, if we say go for a run, it waits for a GPS lock. Sometimes quite slow to acquire a GPS signal, so here I've set it on doing a run. And you have to wait until the GPS is acquired before you can start off on the run. Whereas if you did the equivalent thing using your iPhone, if you've got room to carry that when you're running, then the iPhone of course will lock on within a few seconds because it uses Wi-Fi and mobile phone towers to assist the GPS. So here I'm waiting about a minute so far. See, the GPS is in red with a progress bar on it, which I guess is the acquiring of the GPS signal. It's just buzzed, so now it's saying I can actually go for a run, so that was about at least a minute. Not too brilliant, but not too bad. So the equivalent functionality for the Pebble is you'd have to use the Enmondo app in conjunction with your iPhone. You can actually see your progress on your watch, of course, and it uses the phone for GPS and distance tracking. This one, of course, doesn't measure your heart rate, although there is a new version of the Pebble coming out in November that does measure your heart rate. So if you've got room to carry your iPhone, then offers a similar functionality. And when you're doing a run, offers quite nice feedback of your features. So you've got heart rate zone, and if we swipe down, we've got distance, time, lap pace, more distance stuff. Back to heart rate, so you can continuously monitor your heart rate while you're running, which is quite nice. So quite straightforward to do any sort of sporting activity and record the data. It also then gets uploaded to the Garmin Connect app for showing you all that data. Unfortunately, the watch itself It's fairly limited in terms of what it shows you about your activity. For instance, it doesn't actually show you your sleep data. The sleep data can only be looked up on the app, whereas on the Pebble, again, you can look that up directly on the watch. There's a fairly limited number of watch faces, I guess because it hasn't been around quite as long as perhaps something like the Pebble. Although this particular watch face that I've chosen looks quite reasonable, has a very limited amount of information on it, only states, whereas a fairly equivalent one from the Pebble has the weather forecast, the state of your Bluetooth connection, state of your battery, temperature outside, day and the date. I've gone through a lot of the watch faces and none really seem to show the equivalent amount of detail as you can get on the Pebble watch. So for instance, let's go through all the different watch faces available. Press and hold on there, select watch faces. So let's start at the top, the inbuilt ones, modern digital, as seen on the cover picture. Quite limited. Traditional digital, not much different really. Modern analog, quite nice looking, but again, not a huge amount of information on it. It's nice to see it's got the day as well as the date, battery, Bluetooth states, which is good. If it had temperature and weather forecast, then it would be the same as the Pebble one, but it doesn't, unfortunately. Traditional analog, quite similar. Pendulum, not hugely interesting. It's got bars for activity and step count on it. And then these are the watch faces that I found by going through those on the companion app. Watch 2 we just saw a minute ago. Just show that again. Just that one. Slightly annoying that it goes to the top of the list every time you pick a watch rather than remember where you were in the list. Macabre, slightly confusing looking one. Got a little circular dials for showing battery and number of steps. Some information on message count or something, but got no messages at the moment, so it's not doing a lot. Otherwise it looks a little bit basic. And then we've got Garmin, which has an indication of step count, probably activity, not even sure what the middle graph is actually. Quite nice to see message count on there again, even though that's the message that I can't actually remove. Battery and Bluetooth is good. That was Garmin. Split. Has quite a lot of information, which is quite nice. Obviously day, time, date, messages, battery percentage, heart rate this time, which is quite nice to see on the screen. Distance you travel, 0.2 of a mile, number of calories burnt, and number of steps. Lots of information. If you're a bit blurry-eyed, it can be a bit difficult to read, but once you've woken up, that's fine. As long as your eyesight's good enough. And those are, the last one is HR Watch, which is not a huge amount of point to it, but really just shows you continuously the readout of your heart rate. It's actually quite similar, apart from showing the time as well, to the heart rate readout you get normally as one of the built-in functions. That just doesn't show the time, that's all, whereas this one does. So if you want constant monitoring and graphing of your heart rate, maybe that's for you, but unfortunately it doesn't show Bluetooth state or state of your battery or messages and maybe some other things, so not perfect. So what else does it do? You might have just seen, let's go back around that, you might have just seen in that list of activities at the bottom, you can define particular apps you might want to be doing. Find My Phone's quite a nice one, it'll make your phone ring. Google Maps will show you, after it's got the map and found your GPS location, should in a minute give you a little map of where you are. Unfortunately that's very slow. There we go. So here is our location, zoom in and out and so on. Skywatch is a bit of a novelty one. You can, well, for instance here, you can select a particular constellation. I'm not sure how well this is coming out on the screen, but you pick, Orion, or later on there's planets as well. I think we are Jupiter, Saturn, not visible in the daytime, so it won't guide you to where they are. Of course, the only one visible in the daytime is the sun. So here it's saying it's using the compass to direct you which way to point. Let's just show that again. So we turn around and it shows the sun should be in that direction straight ahead of us, and then you just look up to see the sun. Can't see it today because it's cloudy, but you get the idea. Bit of a novelty, quite nice though. Well, there was an activity we custom defined, just strength activity. The number of apps is a little bit limited, but they're mainly aimed at sporting activities. Left hand button, press and hold, allows you to lock the screen so that the screen doesn't get disturbed by, for instance, swimming. Power off device and do not disturb as well. Normally left hand button just goes back to the watch face, and if you are in another screen somewhere like music, let's go to something a bit more interesting. Last swim, if you press and hold on the screen, also goes back to the watch face. So compared to the Pebble, then obviously the current Pebble doesn't actually record heart rate at the moment. It does do activity recording along with something like an external app like Endomondo. So this one you can say start your run, so you'd have to carry your phone with you as well to record how many miles you've gone, and it would record calories. I'm not sure what else it does. I think within the app it then reports a fair bit of data. The Pebble does allow you to look at your activity data all under this health app. So under there we've got number of steps versus your typical value, so 9,900 today versus 4,000 typical. So sleep you can look at directly, so 619, if you press the middle button you can also get information about your deep sleep, which is something the Garmin doesn't do. And again, if you go into steps, you can also show number of calories you burnt and the distance that you travelled and time active and so on. So a basic set of information for health activity. There are a lot more apps for the Pebble. Oh, there's a weather app, but actually we can get to weather a lot easier. The top and bottom buttons give you information about your schedule. So you go up, the top button gives you what you had been doing in the previous day, your schedule, sunrise, sunset, sleep information, so on. Let's have a quick look at our sleep information. Yeah, same as you saw previously. And then the down button is the one you use more frequently, shows what's happening today. So the first thing it's saying is sunset. The little symbol there shows a weather forecast, and you tip on it, click on it, shows you a graphic for it, and you can scroll down and it'll show in words saying temperatures, winds, whether it's raining or not, and it'll also show the weather forecast for the next day, which is a bit more useful. And also we go back, left hand button is going back, again bottom button will go on a bit further, what's happening the rest of the day, nothing. Tomorrow then says what your schedule is, a few little things, not too much on tomorrow, and the weather forecast for tomorrow. You get the idea. So a little bit quicker to look at the weather forecast. So let's see what other apps we've got. Up is settings. Also shows you what is the next thing coming up. At the bottom there it says health. So if we press to the bottom, go back to health app. Weather's next, similar to what we've seen already. Music controls are a little bit better. So if we press and hold on the middle button rather than just tap it once will play it. And the up and down buttons, of course, go to previous and next track. Tap and hold goes to the controls for controlling the volume with up and down. I can't show you that because it interrupts the video that I'm doing on the same phone. So again, that's a little bit better than the Garmin, much more useful. What other apps we got on here? Notifications. The detail on the notifications is a bit better, shows you all your previous ones until you actually clear them all out. Let's see if there's any more detailed ones. Yeah, it's quite a long one here, a long text message from our daughter. This long text message actually locked up the Garmin. I received it last night. I couldn't get rid of it. None of the buttons would respond. Had to press and hold the left button on the Garmin until the device just reset. And of course you lose all your data then, all of your health data for the day. So that wasn't terribly impressive. Never had that problem on the Pebble. It doesn't show the whole message, but certainly shows quite a lot of it. So again, Pebble wins out on notifications, and also when a text message comes up or a notification, it stays on screen to make sure that you've noticed it, whereas on the Garmin it seems to pop up and then disappear. Range of alarms, lots of easy to get to watch faces, a whole range of different ones that I've got set up on here. Much more choice than on the Garmin, and they go straight to the watch face that you've actually selected as well, rather than having to press additional buttons to get it back again. And for instance, a particularly useful one is something like World Watch, which gives you all the time zones around the world if you're traveling. Very useful if you're doing multiple stops on a plane. So that's watch faces. Quotes, stock quotes. Haven't seen that on the Garmin yet. So there's a few stock quotes that instantly update. What else? Stopwatch, map GPS, a bit similar to the map that we did see on the Garmin. Let's see if it actually works. So when the app isn't actually loaded onto the Pebble, you can still have it as an option, but when you select it, it has to do a quick upload of the program from your iPhone onto the actual into the memory of the Pebble Watch. I think maybe we need to run up the companion app to set a direction and probably to load the data. That does work, but I would need to load the companion app. I'm going to go into that now. I don't use it that often. Similar one, my path locations. Again, that hasn't been used in a long time, so that's to load it up. Might well be another thing that needs a companion app, we shall see. This allows you to look for lots of close points of interest, like fuel. Let's see what's going to come up with. So, lots of different apps. I think Yelp is like a Yellow Pages app. Again, shows you what's nearby. Let's have a look at restaurants. A few reviews. Just sort of app. Yeah, what else we got? TripAdvisor. I think we know about that. Taking notes. Time zone app. Timer. Analog forecast. I think that's an app which is basically a watch face. It gives you lots of weather information. Oh, there we go. Pressure, wind, time and day, and so on. So, and also a forecast for different days, and quite a nice watch face that gives you weather and temperature by the hour. as the hour hand goes around the watch face. Go on to the next thing. Uber is quite a nice one, so you presumably could call an Uber taxi. Control your Philips Hue light bulbs. Now this is something that the Pebble does do that the Garmin doesn't do. There's quite a few apps for hue control on the Pebble store. So for instance, this one allows you to not only turn your lights on and off, but also allows you to select a particular scene. These are the scenes that are programmed, and pressing these, let's go full bright and let's just see if the lights change. So select full bright and there we go, the light has changed. Go just the left one, the light goes off, so that's quite a nice feature. There is a Hue app for the Garmin device. Unfortunately that only works with Android, and you've got to have a companion app running at the same time. So again, Pebble is better for things like that. For me that's quite a big convenience, because you can be sitting on the sofa and change the scene setting on your light bulbs just by pressing a button on your watch. Enmondo is the activity app for running, cycling and so on. That goes in companion with your smartphone. Or we can have shortcuts as well for the buttons. I've changed my watch face to the time zone one at the moment. So in this mode, what have I got set up for shortcuts? I've got the top right button set up for controlling the lights. So if you press and hold that, then it activates the Hue control app. Allow you to select a scene, change your lights. That's a very quick way of doing it. The middle button obviously goes through all of your different app selections and so on. Left button goes back. Bottom button, press and hold. What have I got set up for that? Bottom button, press and hold, I've got for changing the watch face. So again, a quick way of changing the watch face. What did we have set up previously? Was it that one? No. Let's go back again. Lots of nice watch faces on here. Flip dot was quite fun. And what do we have? Honky Tonk Analog, I think, was our normal one. Yep. And between the looks of the two watches, well, again, I think Pebble probably just about clinches it, because it's got a metal case, gold coloured. Also comes with a gold wristband. This is the plastic band from the first generation Pebble that I quite like. The watch strap on the Pebble is not quite so good. This end clamp keeps moving out, whereas the design of the Garmin is better, because it's actually got a little sticking out piece of plastic that latches into the holes on the band, so that stops that moving. The band is a little bit more flexible, wider. You always feel like you've got to have a little bit, not tight, but sort of firm against your wrist so the heart rate monitor works. So in terms of which is best, well, it depends what you prefer really. If you're really keen on recording all your activities, then the Garmin is a winner. This particular watch face shows the maximum amount of information that probably the watch can show. There are some better looking watch faces. For instance, watch faces, which is the other one I quite like, Watch 2 I think. See, it's a bit more laborious to change. Better looking watch face. Hard to see how it's coming out, maybe that's a little bit better. But a minimal amount of information, so just the step count and the date and the time. Be quite nice to see at least the battery state on there, because there's not one watch face that really is ideal in all situations. Of course, you can quickly swipe to other bits of information such as heart rate, but oddly there's not many of these screens that actually show the state of the battery. None of these ones. And I think what you probably have to do is probably go into settings and system, and then battery level, to see the battery level. A very long-winded way of just checking the state of your battery, which is important if you don't want it to go flat halfway through an activity. So next we'll have a look at the companion apps that go with each of these watches. So for the Garmin, it's the Garmin Connect app. Lots of different screens that it might pop up with. So if we just pop back to a typical start screen, then it will be something like this, which is the snapshot of your daily activity, and you can swipe left or right to see steps and so on that you've done throughout the days or weeks. You can zoom in on a particular, for instance, a sleep pattern in this case, and if we tap on one of these, we should be able to see the sleep pattern for the day, showing different levels of deep and light sleep patterns. To set up your device, you go onto the More selection at the bottom of the screen. If it's syncing, that can be hidden, so a little bit of ergonomic failure. But you go onto More and then Devices, select your device, and then if you want to install different apps or watch faces, then you go to the Connect IQ selection, and then either applications or watch faces. So here in applications, we show the applications are installed on the watch, and then you connect to the store to get more applications. A few pages of these, not as many as on the Pebble Watch. Hopefully it's early days and they'll improve. Similarly for watch faces, these are the watch faces that are installed on the current device. It'd be nice if it showed in a bit more detail the actual watch face rather than a picture of the watch itself with the watch face on. And again, if you want to install more watch faces, you connect to the Connect IQ store, and there are quite a few pages of the different watch faces. None that completely meet all of my requirements for showing all of your details, such as heart rate, steps, battery, Bluetooth, and so on the device. So not quite as good as the Pebble device. If you want to show, for instance, your activities, you can go to the activity menu for showing steps and so on, which you can view by the week or by the day. And you can zoom in on details of calories used and distance travelled and so on. So a lot of different information. If you want to look at your heart rate, then you go into Health Stats and then select All Day Heart Rate. The first screen shows you your weekly summary of your average heart rate, and you can click on particular days to see the heart rate throughout the day, both sleeping and active, with little icons at the bottom showing when you did running and when your heart rate jumped up. And at the bottom you can select a particular running activity, which will then zoom in and give you more detail on distance travelled, the actual track that you travelled on, according to the GPS coordinates, calories used and so on, which is quite a nice record of your run and allows you to compare one run with another. Obviously more detailed than the Pebble because it's got the GPS and heart rate monitoring built in. So if you're really into your health activities, then this would be the watch for you. So going over to the Pebble app, so it's the Pebble Time application that we need, and straight away here it gives you a summary of your activities versus your average or typical activity level in terms of number of steps over days, weeks or months, and shows you whether you met your target or not, and shows distance travelled, number of steps and so on. Similarly with sleep, shows you over day, month, week, your deep sleep and your lighter sleep periods over that time. So that sleep information is also available on the watch, which isn't available on the Garmin device, so it's one advantage of the Pebble. So here are the watch faces we've got installed on the device. Quite a nice display showing a picture of the actual watch face, so you can see in a lot more detail what you're going to get. These are the ones I have installed that are quickly accessible on the watch. If you want more, tap on Get Watch Faces or Get Apps. In this case, Get Watch Faces. So here are the different watch faces. There's hundreds and hundreds of these, all stored under different categories. Far too many to go into here. I have gone over them once over the whole list about 6 months ago, And if you want to see my selection of the best watch faces and the best apps, then have a look at one of my other videos reviewing the Pebble Time Steel Gold device and showing the best watch faces and apps, which is on my channel, coming handy now. If we have a look at applications as well, these are the applications that are currently stored on my device. A little gear wheel next to an application that has programmable settings for it. If you want more apps, click on Get Apps at the top, goes into their app store quite fast, all categorized by different groupings. A lot of apps. Again, a lot more than on the Garmin, because perhaps it's been around a little bit longer. But a lot of choice. And the notifications list shows the list of allowed applications that are allowed to notify you on your watch. So those are the two apps. Both show quite a lot of information. The Garmin obviously shows more activity and health and fitness information because it has the GPS and heart rate monitoring built in. Both seem to work reasonably well though. Basically, the ergonomics and usability of the Garmin could do with a bit of improving. Again, looks not quite so nice, but if you really like all your activity measuring, you do lots of these sports on here, and you want to know the route, your pace and distance and so on, calories used more accurately, and because it's got built-in GPS, then probably this is the watch for you. If you're more interested in a good smartwatch, perhaps it looks a little bit better, has a bit more flexibility in terms of the number of apps that are available, and features like being able to read your text messages, control your Philips Hue lights, and having it operate reliably. If those things are a bit more important, then probably the Pebble is for you. When the new one comes out with the heart rate monitor, of course, that's going to be even better. So I think for the moment, for me personally, the Pebble wins out. I do like the Garmin, but it does have a few reliability issues. A few times it's locked up and I've had to turn it off and on. Once also auto-updated, which then again cleared out all of the day's activity and sleep data, at least that was shown on the watch. Slightly annoying. So I like both, but really only want to wear one watch. And for me, it's got to be the Pebble Time Steel Gold. I look forward to getting the new one in November, December sometime. And unfortunately, it's goodbye to Garmin. But if you like your activity, then you'll probably love the Garmin. Certainly a lot of people do. And there's not too much wrong with it. Could do with a little bit of improvement here and there and some more apps, but maybe it's early days. Okay, that's it. That's my personal opinion. You will no doubt have different opinions, but it gives you a bit of information on what features both of these watches have. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.